guys, I don't really know what this video is, truly. I don't really know the direction or truly even the purpose of this video. I just wanted to talk and share my thoughts, I guess. If you somehow don't know, Ukraine was invaded by Russia just a few days ago as I'm filming this. And like on that day, like seeing those videos of people posting of everything going on, it just like, how is this 2022? How are people living through this right now? It's mind-blowing, really. Obviously some things hit home for people far more than others, and for me, quite literally, this hit home. If you didn't know, I was born in Ukraine. I was raised there. My mom began the immigration process and we moved here to Canada when I was not even 10 years old. So I did live there for almost 10 years of my life, and although I don't remember a ton of it, although those were very impressionable and long gone years, it's still a major part of my life, and I remember not everything, not very clearly, but I do remember it. And the fact that this is going on where I grew up is insane. I really appreciate anybody that reached out, both you guys and some personal friends and just people in my life. I really do appreciate it. Although this has nothing to do with me, and I just appreciate being in your thoughts. I don't have a ton of family back in Ukraine. I have some relatives for sure. My dad actually is in Ukraine. Him and my mom have been separated and divorced since I was like 6 years old, so it's been a long time, but him and I recently have, you know, reconnected in a way. Nothing crazy, like we're not phone calls every night and whatever, but you know, it's when I invited him to our wedding, and he's over there. He's in Ukraine right now. Because my mom and my dad got divorced at such a young age, and just like the way the culture is over there, I don't really know any of my dad's side of the family at all. When they divorced, like that's pretty well the last time I saw my dad was about 6 years old. So I don't really have a relationship with necessarily him or anybody in his family. So I haven't obviously talked to anybody over there from that side, but I do have my godmother and her 2 kids and her sister and her kids, and they're just young families, you know? Like already, you know, living in a country like that, like life's not easy, you know? It's not, you're not billionaires, you're not living wealthy lifestyles, like you're hustling to make ends meet. Just like, you know, a lot of that goes on in the Western world as well, but I just don't think it's to that extent. And, you know, seeing apartment buildings blown up, how do you justify that? Like already these people have so little, and now their homes are ashes. It's just so heartbreaking to watch families being separated. They, you know, if you're a man between 18 and 60, I believe, you can't leave the country. Your wife, your woman, your kids are leaving and you can't go. Families are being separated. Like imagine, put yourself in those shoes. Like imagine being a wife and doing everything you can to protect your kids and saying goodbye to your husband, not knowing if you'll ever see him again. Like just picture that. Imagine that. I'm not very, you know, versed or informed about any of like the political justifications of this, and I don't care. Like I've done some research, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. People are getting hurt. I'm sure you've seen stuff circle around the internet, you know, of people sleeping in train stations and people doing anything they can to protect themselves and their families. And I don't care what these politicians and these leaders have in their agendas or what their objectives are. I don't care. You are failing your countries. At the end of the day, like, it's the innocent children, women, men that get hurt when any of this, now or in the past, any of these conflicts arise. This isn't an overnight thing. Like, I know that Russia and Ukraine has had tension for years, and there's been times that I wanted to go back and, you know, visit. I haven't been back. I've been here for years and I've never had the chance to go back, and there has been times that I wanted to, but I couldn't, and I knew that politically and just safety, like, I just knew it wasn't the wise thing to do, especially with kids, obviously. Like I said, it's been kind of like a ongoing situation, so it wasn't overnight that all this happened, but it should have never boiled over. It should have never gotten to where it is right now. And I truly cannot imagine the horror that people are feeling and experiencing and just watching with their own two eyes. As far as I know, the people that I am in contact with are safe for now. I was born and raised in Odessa, and that's where my godmother and, you know, all her family is. I don't know where my dad is right now. He told me, I had a call with him recently. He did tell me where he was living, but I don't remember. I don't recall ever a hearing of this town before, so I don't know where he is. Like, I would assume it's closer to Kiev than it is to Odessa, so I don't know. He is safe though, from what I know and the, you know, minimal conversations I've had, but not everyone is that lucky, and that's not okay. It's just crazy to me how much, like, I don't even know if power is the right word, but like, how do these people get to sit in their comfy homes and order a country be blown up? How is that okay? How? I know there's a lot of, I've heard that in Russia, you know, there's been media censorship, like right now especially, and they're not allowing everything to come through, and they're not able to see what's happening. Rather just being fed what the Russian government wants them. And, you know, there's been protests and people being arrested left, right, and center for wanting peace. Russia and Ukraine, although there's been like political tension, it is so common to have relatives both in Ukraine and Russia, just because of how intertwined the cultures and the countries are, truly. Like, I learned Ukrainian in school, but at home we spoke Russian. I don't remember a word of Ukrainian because Russian has always just been my first language, and that's what I speak, and that's what everybody I knew spoke, and we all lived in Ukraine, and most of my heritage is Ukrainian, but there is a lot of Russian, and that's so common for so many people. So how is this happening? This isn't about me, and I'm not making this video to invite pity of any kind. I wanted to, you know, speak my thoughts, and, you know, if for some reason you haven't heard of what's going on, or maybe you have, maybe you're more on the political end of things, and if you are, I urge you to just take a step back and not look at people as casualties or numbers, and rather actually put yourself in their shoes. Like, I saw a video of a tank running over a moving vehicle with people inside. What is that accomplishing? What is that doing? I was going through some photo albums that I have from, you know, my childhood, and it was just so sad. There's me, born in Ukraine. Like, I can't imagine being there right now with my 2 kids, you know. It's funny how Sophie's crib right now looks so similar to the one I had as a baby. It is crazy just looking at this, and obviously I don't remember everything vividly, but you know, I do remember a lot of beach time as a child. I remember so much of this particular apartment. This was the last apartment that we lived in before we moved to Canada. And you know, in places like Ukraine, it's so common to like live with multiple generations. So for a lot of the time we lived with my grandparents. We also lived with my aunt and her family. So like, just there was so much of that like community and intertwinedness. But this, I remember this giant bookshelf was in like a living room, I guess. Like it's weird, I know, for somebody that lives in Canada, and the floor plans we have here, you know, as you walk in, everything's open concept. You have a kitchen to one side, and that's this big massive space of like a living room. But in that apartment, it was huge, it was beautiful, the ceilings were so high. But you would walk in, and to your right was just like a bedroom, and it was our like computer space and office, and there was like a futon and stuff. And then when you look ahead, it was just like a big closet. And then to your left, there was a couch. There was a big clock. I don't know if, yeah, you can kind of see it in this one. I don't know if this was like another clock we had, or if this one was just moved over there. I don't know, but I remember that being there, and there was a couch there, and then there was like a wall, or like just like a wooden like shelf unit almost. And I remember there's being a bunch of like DVDs and VHS movies and stuff like that. And around the corner we had a booth. We had this booth there, and it was just like a dining space, and right next to it was the kitchen. And I remember having just multicolored tiles as the backsplash of the kitchen. It was very small. I remember it being quite small. And then right next to the kitchen was a bathroom, and we all shared a bathroom, just one bathroom. And there was a tub, and we had a giant boiler. There was a toilet. There was a door to our attic, and there was just like a closet space. And then there was like the living room or the dining room kitchen area, and then right across the little hall, there's no like walls or anything. It was just like 2 entrances, 2 bedrooms. There was like a master, and then there was a balcony on the other side of it that would go into this like big living room space that I showed you guys with this bookshelf. So it was just a wall of books, and then there was a couch, and I think there was like a desk or something in the corner, and then there was another door, so there's another room through that space that was like the kids' room. And we had wallpaper with glow-in-the-dark stars and stuff, and it was fun. We had this even like little gym set of like a ladder and these like gymnastics, like those rings that you can like hold on to and do cartwheels and whatever. And we had a bunk bed. My brother and I had a bunk bed. And that's the only apartment I remember vividly. We lived in a lot of different places, but that one I remember most. Like I said, I lived in Odessa, and that's where I'm from, and we lived quite close to town center, or like downtown, I guess, or at least what we considered, or at least what I consider it to be. And we had one car, but we walked, like most of the time it was walking. There was, you know, a market that we would go to and, you know, buy all of our groceries. There was no Costco. There was, like, most of the time we would buy, actually, you know what, there was a store that was like quite a ways that we would drive to that was like Costco vibes, but you know, the main like food we would buy would be at this market. And you know, my grandma was known for going there like almost every day, you know, and she's still like that, or at least from when I, you know, she lives in Ontario now, but when she lived here, she would still, you know, like go to the store almost every single day for dinner. But yeah, this was like the main like big street, and they had these ponies that you could, you know, ride, and it's so funny. Like I remember always being so excited to do that. And there was one McDonald's there that was just like the biggest deal when we got to go, which wasn't often at all. I even had a birthday party there one time, and it was just like incredible. The ocean was close too, like we'd often walk to the ocean, and kind of right by town center there was also this pizza place that we'd always go to. And then on the other, kind of like a few streets down, there was a little, I don't know, like bar, kind of, I guess. It was more just like a restaurant. If it was just my grandpa and I, he would always often get a beer, and I would get mango juice. But they also had just like delicious food there. I remember just like massive plates of just goodness. And you know, one day I do hope to go back to Ukraine and show Mitchell especially kind of like how I grew up living where we live now. Like this is where he was born and raised, and I know more or less the life he lived, but where I grew up is so different, and I hope to, you know, show him that one day and show my kids as well. But right now it's just, my heart is aching, and it's really, really sad to just see people, and just like, I'm angry too. Nobody deserves their home and their country being treated this way. And you know, it's not just Ukraine either, right? Like from what I've heard, Ukraine's gonna be striking back, and now Russia is gonna be experiencing the same thing. And although obviously there is some ginormous flaws in leadership, Russia still has people that are just like the people in Ukraine, that just like them deserve to not live in fear. And you know, I've heard of like power, water, electricity, all that stuff being put out, and you know, not having access to it, and it's cold there. Like it's winter time, it's not summer. Like it's cold. How are we doing this? How is this okay? So either way, you know, it's not all pointing fingers at Russia, and it has nothing to do with Russia and their people. It's got to do with their government and their poor leadership. At this point, I would urge you, you know, to do your research and donate. I would be very careful though, because when I think of people suffering, and I think of the people that I want to help and I want to, you know, send money to and supplies to and food to, I just don't know how that can be organized. So I would be very careful of where you're putting your money. I know that there was an organization, Bethany something, I don't know, but they're basically at like the Polish border, people crossing, they will, you know, give them food, aid, whatever. But what about the people in Ukraine? Like, how do we get them money? How do we get them what they need, right? And like, I don't know, what is the store situation right now? Like, can you go buy food, or are you SOL with what you have in the fridge? Is your fridge running? Can you eat? It's insane, and I feel helpless. I really do. Like, I saw today like a link to a bank of Ukraine to donate money to, then that will go into like ammunition and stuff. And what? I understand that you are fighting a war right now, but my concern is not with your weapons, it's with your people, and the people that are not being protected, they're not being taken care of. That is my concern, and I don't know where to go. So I will do my best to link some resources for you guys, and link some reliable sources and reliable places to donate, but just be careful. And I know that a lot of people, you know, donate with pure intentions, and you know, they do want that money going to the country. You know, like in the past, like I've donated to a bunch of different just awful causes, and you know, things going on, especially like in the Middle East. And I just never got that like feeling of I'm helping even a little bit, because I put in my information onto some website. Like, where's that money going? Is it going to some schmuck elsewhere just collecting the coin of people that are trying to help? Like, I don't know. And, you know, I don't want to say all that and then disencourage everybody from, you know, helping, when that shouldn't be the case at all. But like I said, like, the people that need the help often don't receive it, and it's just really, really sad. So I'll do my best to look for credible and reliable places to donate. I really hope you're all safe, and I don't know how to carry on, you know, with life. And I don't know if that sounds dramatic or not, but it's always rubbed me the wrong way, and I'm not just throwing shade at anyone or anything, like, do not take this the wrong way at all. But when I see people, you know, post something about just like a horrible event going on like this on their stories in between like their fun, extravagant day, I know it's better to do that than not do that. It's better to spread awareness and, you know, show your support. But at the same time, it's like, to me, that's always been a little bit strange, and I don't know how to continue, you know, living life like nothing's happening when it is. And this isn't just like a one day thing either, right? The day that, you know, things started to escalate quickly, everybody's story was flooded with everything. But like, obviously now it's tapering off, and it's not tapering off over there, it's getting worse. So I don't know, it's just such a tricky space to be in, and I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments or whatever you have. Yeah, just be sensitive. I'm sensitive. I'm really grateful to be in Canada now, but at the same time I feel horrible about it. I feel like everybody should not be in a country where there are bombs flying out of the sky, and I feel just like a sense of guilt and just pain for the people that deserve better. So yeah, it's like, it's so strange. And I also urge you to be careful of what you repost or what you spread and share. Like, I understand that a lot of the time people use humor to cope with difficult situations. And if you are a North American sitting on your couch watching Netflix and getting information off Instagram about the war going on overseas, it is not your place to share memes about it. It's just not. It's very tone deaf, and it's, you know, like I said, I do get that some people use that as coping, but you're not coping with much. If those people that are there, if the Ukrainians living through the horror feel like they need to cope somehow and they put out these jokes or memes or whatever, I feel like that's their prerogative. But somebody like us that is comfortable and safe in their own homes is no place for memes and just insensitive content like that. So I would urge you to not spread it or make it or share it. Obviously, you know, this has hit me a lot harder than most of, you know, my peers or whoever, and that's totally fair. You know, this is where I come from, this is the country that I identify with. You know, there's so many times in my life where I've been asked, like, where are you from? Were you born here? And no, I was born in Ukraine. And it's just weird to see, you know, Ukraine all over the place now, when like nobody talks about it otherwise. Now it's on everyone's story and everyone's sharing, which is great, you know, awareness is great, but it just hurts my heart. that this is what's happening. Anyway, I think I've rambled on for long enough. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me. I encourage you to find some local people in Ukraine, independent sources, not journalists, not anybody, just people living through it, and follow them. See what they're going through, and if you can, reach out and see how you can help. But yeah, I love you guys so much. Thank you for your patience. I don't know what the next week is gonna look like. I just feel so uncomfortable with posting anything to do with my comfortable North American life right now, because just over 10 years ago that would have been my life, if that makes sense. Like, I was living in Ukraine. Anyways, thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting me and supporting the situation. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one.